actually had to start over. I moved to Australia in my late 20s with a finance background, couldn't find a job and ended up in data as a self-taught analyst. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Now I co-founded a data consultancy, worked with clients from banks to police departments, and I teach data every day. So when I tell you how I would learn data analytics in 2026, I'm not guessing. I'm telling you what I would do differently if I had to do it again. A data analyst is what most people mean when they say, I want to work with data. You're extracting data, building dashboards, finding patterns, presenting the insights. This is a role with the clearest self-teaching path, and it is the one I'm going to focus on for the rest of this video. I would say that data analyst is actually a family of roles, and what I mean, when you see job descriptions, there would be jobs for marketing analyst, sales analyst, pricing analyst, product operation analyst. So if you only search for data analyst, you will miss the relevant postings. So if you're looking for a job, expand your search and search not only for data analyst, but maybe for analyst itself, so you can see other jobs like marketing analyst and product analyst. Job title vary a lot by company. Some places call everything a data analyst. What matters is reading the actual job description, not just the title. For example, my very first data role initially was called business analyst. Then it was renamed to marketing analyst, and later it became data analyst and actually transitioned into data science. So it's very important to read what exactly tools you are expected to work with, the whole job description, what you will be doing at your work. So there is one thing you can do today. Go to LinkedIn, search data analyst in a city you would actually want to work. Open 10 postings. After 10, you will naturally start to feel which ones sound like something you could do versus something that feels like a different language. Once you know the type, the roadmap gets way simpler. If you want to skip the guesswork on what to learn and actually practice on real-world data problems, I have SQL and Python challenge built from real work I did as a consultant. Not a tutorial, real dataset, real tasks. Check it out by the link in the description or scan the QR code right here. Now let's talk about skills that gets you hired. I would say that every data analyst needs to focus on the following skills. First one is Excel. I know Excel is not the sexiest tool. It also turned 40, if not mistaken, last year. So it feels like something very old and from the times when T-Rex was running on the planet. But unfortunately, this is a tool that is the most commonly used even today. First of all, it's very easy to learn. Secondly, it's used by all the management because not everyone knows how to code. So whether you like it or not, you need to have some average knowledge of Excel. And I give you an example. I'm manager of analytics and insights, and when I'm presenting my insights, when I'm presenting PowerPoint, sometimes people ask, can you pull the data? We want to have a look at it. And then they say, can you quickly create pivot table? Can you drag this and that filter? And you have to do it while everyone is watching, while you're sharing your screen. So you can't at that point just say, I'm so advanced, I use only Python, so please don't ask me. They will still push you to do that whether you want it or not. So you will have to be very awkward in front of everyone, and I would suggest you learn Excel. Also, Excel is a stepping stone in learning the next tools because it will help you to understand how to work with tabular data. So I mean rows and columns. There are a lot of functions that are very similar with SQL and Python. So if you understand lookups in Excel, it's similar to joins in SQL and similar to merge in Python. I even have some cheat sheet. If you sign up to my free newsletter, you get access to different cheat sheets, and some of them show the transition between Excel, SQL, and Python. You need to get comfortable with Excel, and what I mean, you need to know how to work with pivot tables, you need to do different lookups, text split to column, maybe remove duplicates, basic charts. I think it will take you 2-3 weeks to get comfortable with it if you work every day on practicing Excel. Once you're finished with Excel, the next thing is SQL. And I always say that data speaks SQL-ish. I think I need to produce merch with this phrase. In most companies, one way or another, you will work with SQL. It can be Postgres, MySQL, BigQuery, but the syntax is very similar and the concept and the logic is the same. So you need to get very comfortable with SQL. Also, Excel has its own limitations. SQL can process way more data points and work with much bigger data sets. So it is a natural progression from Excel to SQL. And in SQL, you need to learn how to aggregate data, data, work with subqueries. I have a lot of videos on SQL, so go and watch them. As a data analyst, after you nailed SQL and Excel, you need to learn how to work with visualization tools. It can be Power BI or Tableau, it doesn't matter, but you need to nail one tool and the other one you will learn at work if you have to. First of all, Power BI is free while Tableau is not, and also Power BI is a part of Microsoft. So if it is a big company, most likely they have Microsoft Suite, so you will be working with Outlook, Teams, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, as well as Power BI. However, some companies work with both Power BI and Tableau, that would happen to me, but Power BI I feel like more common. One skill that many data analysts are focusing on, they want to learn coding, and this one I will hold off till you find your job. What I mean, in my opinion, Python is good to have, but it's not must. Because of that, I feel like Python becomes another procrastination tool. What I mean, instead of actually start applying, facing your fears, you think, okay, I need to learn one more tool, practice one more thing, and keep postponing something that's very scary. But Python is not a must at the moment for data analysts. So after you nailed Excel, SQL and visualization tool, what you need to do, you need to start working on your portfolio and postpone Python for later days. Once you're already applying for jobs and improving your portfolio, in parallel, you can start watching tutorials and learning Python. In my opinion, there is one skill that courses and tutorials don't talk about, but it's very important for data analysts, is actually data storytelling and presentation skills. So you learn how to extract data, how to clean it, how to query, and even create dashboards. But then you are pulled to the meeting, and I noticed that some people go very deeply into technical territory and it becomes so boring that you literally zone out. So imagine you are talking and presenting findings to C4, and C4 has 5 minutes. They don't want to know how you extracted data, what tables you combined. They literally want to know what happened and how much it will cost them, and whether it saves money, saves time, or makes revenue. That's all they care about. When you're presenting, you need to keep it in mind. Also, you always need to read the room, who you're presenting to. So if it's your technical peers, maybe you can go more into data analytical things. While if it's non-technical stakeholders, they don't understand it, you will lose them. Actually, a very good example from my job, because I started in finance, I always worked with accountants and finance people as an auditor. And then I transitioned into data, so I also worked with data-heavy people. And then I worked for police department and I created some dashboards for them. And I remember I keep saying, it's exactly like Excel, exactly like Excel. And this detective looks at me and says, I don't know what Excel is.
What?
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 I was actually shocked. I know it might be silly, but I've spent like 15 years working with tables and Excel files. To meet someone who is so senior in his career, but he has no clue what Excel file is, and I'm sure there are plenty of people like that, doctors, musicians, they don't need Excel. So that's why once you nailed Excel, SQL and visualization, start practicing on the presentation skills. And you can even record yourself on a phone, how you're presenting. Try to learn how to summarize your findings in several sentences in executive summary. Actually, let me know if you are interested in this type of projects. Maybe we can do together and work on a presentation specifically. Let me know if you're interested in a video like that. The next step is to create a portfolio. Similar to photographers, data analysts have portfolio. Since you're just starting, you don't have projects you worked on or companies you worked for to talk about, but you can work on projects, put them in GitHub or Notion, or you can create a separate website for your portfolio and you can reference it in your CV as well as your LinkedIn page. I would recommend you have 2 or 3 but very good detailed projects rather than 10 or 20. Again, it is a procrastination. Instead of actually facing your fears, you're deferring it. So please work on 3 projects and start applying. One project I highly recommend is EDA, exploratory data analysis, where you get the data, you clean it, and you present findings. That That's the one I often refer to as a detective job because you don't know what you're looking for. You're looking for some insights, some nuggets which people don't know about. Second one, I would suggest it will be Excel plus SQL or SQL project. And number three is a visualization project, which can be one of, again, tools like Power BI or Tableau, and it can even be SQL plus Excel. With SQL, you extract data, aggregate, etc. And then you put it all together, all the visuals in Excel. So it's up to you, but think of one cleaning data, one technical, more SQL-ish type of thing, and the third one is visualization project. It's very important how you present it. I've seen some magnificent portfolios, and I've seen some which were very technical, very good, complex syntax and coding, but I was looking at it with the question, and then what? So what? Imagine you're talking to CFO or some other C-suite executive and you're presenting him the project. So you need to give a little background, then major findings, and then the next steps or recommendations. You can also indicate some limitations. For example, this data wasn't available, or this data is very dirty, column has missing values, something like that. So that's like additional step. But you're not presenting the code to executives. They don't see it. So code can be added somewhere and referenced, but no one will look into it. No one will read it. What people will read is a text where you say this increased, that decreased, where you add charts. If you're interested in a portfolio projects, let me know if you want video specifically on that. I highly recommend you to dedicate a lot of time on working on your portfolio. Also, this way you are practicing the skills, and I'm a great believer that the best way to learn something is to actually by doing. So combine just tutorials with actually practicing on what you learn. And the next question, we are in 2026, AI is everywhere, so do you need AI for your work? And my answer is yes. Because now AI, it's not something special and unique, it's everywhere, it's used in one way or another. So expectations increased lately on how much you can deliver, and you can't deliver it without AI, if it makes sense. So the way you can use it, firstly, to help you with syntax. Also, if you inherit some queries from your colleagues, you can spend days trying to understand what it is, or you can just put it in AI and ask what this query is doing, what is this specific part, what is this syntax, so to walk you through what's happening there. Similarly, you can say, okay, this is the query for these tables, these are my table names, help me rewrite it. So instead of you Ctrl+F, find, replace, you can ask AI to redo it for you in 2 minutes. So why not to use it? Secondly is summarization, this executive summary findings. Of course, you need to put together what you found, especially because AI hallucinates, and numbers is a big problem for AI still. When you read, it's like you really made up the numbers.
What kind of nonsense is this?
So you need to validate everything that AI says, but if you put prompt together, if you put all the sentences, but ask to polish it, to improve language, to shorten it, it all will be done. Also, as I mentioned in the previous video, I ask AI to challenge my findings, to challenge my logic, and trying to find the holes in it. So then I can rewrite and think about other ways I didn't look at my data. Imagine that AI is some type of colleague who is actually challenge you, which helps you to develop and grow. Another thing is, of course, presentations, if your company allows. It can be from a simple visual. Sometimes I ask AI to help me to create a visual, so I can imagine if it should be bar chart or some other type of visuals, if I stuck. Or it can be the whole presentation made by AI, and then you export it in a PowerPoint and just fix a couple of pixels. How awesome is that? So something that could have taken you several days now can be done in hours. So yes, AI is a must in 2026. It will not replace your work. You will have to check, double check or triple check of what it does. Here is a brutal truth. You can spend 6 months picking the perfect course, or you can spend 6 months actually building things. One of those gets you a job, the other one gets you a certificate nobody asked about. If you're starting from scratch or switching fields, start with the skills chapter in this video. Do it in order, don't skip. And if you want the next step, I made a video on SQL basics like joins, group by, subqueries, having, and in. Go watch that one next.